Hello everyone, Dave here again, and today I've got another pickups video. Don't think it's been that long since the last one, but the main reason behind this video is actually I got a Kickstarter fulfillment finally shipped out and received that I did the pledge for, like, I want to say a year ago, or maybe even a little over a year ago. I think it was in like March, April, or May of 2025 when I did the when I pledged to it. I don't think it was any later than the summer, but anyway, it arrived and there was a lot of stuff put into that, and some other things that I've ordered at like varying different times, but they all just decided to arrive within like a week or so of each other. And yeah, also I do apologize for not having much out the last little while. The last week, the missus was away on a 9-day business trip. And so I was just here taking care of our dogs, including our little puppy who still requires quite a bit of attention. And she is quite the Velcro dog. She's got separation anxiety, like really, really bad. To the point where I couldn't even be in the shower without her like jumping up and pawing at the doors. And she actually managed to turn the handle and get into the bathroom when I was having a quick shower. So that was my week last week, and this week was just kind of spent like just kind of relaxing a bit. Glad to have the wife home and all that stuff. So the drive to work on videos hadn't quite been there, but we're gonna try to get back into the swing of things, so to speak. So yeah, we got quite a few different things to go through here. So let's just sort of get right into it. The first couple of things that I'm going to show here are items that I decided to kind of treat myself to around the middle of May, because that's my birthday. And the first thing I have here was something that I tried to get from I got from Chapters, but every year they'll send me a discount code for like to use in a checkout for because it's my birthday. And I don't know why this year I could not get it to work. It was just super frustrating. Like at first it said that the code had already been used. So I think that I probably already had last year's one that I'd spent, and I probably hadn't been a full calendar year yet since I used the last one, so it just wouldn't let me. But then when I put stuff in the cart, it's like, okay, well, this item doesn't qualify, or that item doesn't qualify. And they're books, right? So I don't know what else I could have gotten for it. Like, there was nothing in the terms that said that I couldn't use it on books, or that it had to be like, I don't know. So anyway, I just said the hell with it, because this book is something I've been wanting for a very, very long time. I wish they packaged it a little bit better, but it still arrived, and I'm still happy to have it. And that is On a Sea of Glass. So this is the life and loss of the RMS Titanic. And the reason I say I wish it was a little bit better packaged is because it came a little dinged up here. This was shipped out in just a paper envelope, like a soft paper envelope, but like a paper envelope. I think it had a little bit of padding in it, like it's the one that has like the pulp inside. But I've ordered tons of packages from Chapters in the past, and I've never seen one packaged that poorly before. So I don't know. I might have to think twice. I think in the future I'll just order everything to be shipped to the store closest to me. But anyway, but this is a book that I've wanted for a very, very long time. As long as I've known about it. And the Sea of Glass people, they work with a channel called Part-Time Explorer, I think it is. And every year they'll do like their real-time Titanic sinking, and they'll sort of dissect what's going on and talk about the different events, the lowering of the lifeboats, and who might have been on them, and like the different things happening in the ship with the flooding. And anyway, that and Titanic Honor and Glory, they both do their live streams. And I tend to alternate between which one I watch live, but I always make sure that I watch both. But yeah, I think it's Part-Time Explorer. He works with these guys here, with the On a Sea of Glass crew, and I've always loved like listening to them and everything. So this is just a really cool book going over the history of the ship, its construction, the voyage, the mechanics of the sinking, and I think there's like a log of like when lifeboats would have been launched, and yeah, lifeboat launch times, who was in charge, things like that. So really, really cool to see here. And you can see like the last two lifeboats there, only a few minutes before the ship disappeared. And they did not actually launch. They just kind of floated off the ship, with Collapsible B actually being, I think, the one that was upside down. But yeah, really cool stuff. I'm really looking forward to sort of diving into this book. I'll probably digest a little more like piecemeal, but there's some awesome, awesome stuff in here. Um, I like the scene from the Raised in the Titanic movie. I mean, I guess not really a great movie, but I still love it. I've watched it a couple of times. I think the whole thing's actually available. It was on YouTube. I just watched it there. But yeah, there's something that I've been, like I said, I've been really interested in. I know a lot of fantastic research and effort has gone into this book, so I'm really happy to have that finally in my collection. And now the next one is along the same lines, but this is an older, much older book, but it's something that I've seen referenced a bunch of times, and I've just wanted to have it ever since I first knew about it, which wasn't that long ago, because I don't think the stores in my area ever really picked this one up, because I used to have a lot of different Titanic books when I was a kid. But this is Titanic in Illustrated History, and this one is awesome because it's like the text is by Don Lynch. There's an introduction by Robert Ballard, who discovered the wreck site, and then the paintings are by Ken Marshall. And Ken Marshall, as far as like marine paintings are concerned, I don't think there's anybody in the world that's better than him. Like, his paintings are just absolutely amazing. And yeah, they're all going to be all throughout this book. I mean, there's going to be like photographs and historic stuff like that as well, right? But just absolutely amazing stuff here, like that image over here of the ship. I think this is the one that's on like the metal plate that we have, poster plate that's in our kitchen. And we put it in our kitchen because there was an empty or an uncovered, I think they might have had a clock up there at some point, that there's like a box for it in the wall, and then there's the wires, but there's no like plate ever put over top of it, so we just have that kind of covering it over. But yeah, just amazing paintings. This one I love because you've got the Titanic and the Olympic there, both together, and the wreck pictures. And like the wreck pictures are incredible because to create them, Ken basically looked over like thousands of photographs or frames of film taken from like the Argo sled, along with the the Jason Jr. and the Alvin photographs, stuff like that, and videos. And he used those to create the wreck site, which is just really amazing. And it took until like 2020, what was it, 2022, when Magellan did their scans to create like a 3D digital version using basically the same method of stitching all these different pictures together. But just to imagine looking at like thousands of pictures and like frames of film, and then using that to create like the renderings of the ship is just absolutely amazing. I'm not going to go through every single page here, but there should be a painting sort of towards, I would say, the latter part of the book here, when we're into like the sinking portion, where it was the painting that got me hooked, like that kind of solidified my interest in the ship. And I don't know if it's, now that I'm looking for it purposefully, I'll probably never find it. Might have to go a little bit further back. But it was one that I saw in another book that it was printed a bit smaller, so you couldn't quite see like the canvas texture. Here it is. This one right here, actually. So this was in a different book that I had, and the picture was about like this big in the book, but it looked so realistic with the reflection of the light, the way that the light played off the icebergs and everything, and like it was printed small enough that to me it looked like a photograph, and I was really mesmerized by it. And then when I found that it was a painting, I was just completely and totally blown away by it. So this is just an amazing painting. Again, you have like the signal flare going up, you have the steam venting, and like, yeah, just the way that the ice looked was really, really cool. And then there was another image that I was really fascinated by, a painting that he did, and I'm hoping I can find it real quick, because it's the Discovery. Yeah, this one right here, the stern. Because like the stern, like you look at the bow section of the ship, and it was so like pristine, and like it was obvious what it was, and you could tell like what all the different features of it were. And then you look at the stern, and like there's nothing. Like it's pancaked on top of itself. Like These engine turbines are 30 feet tall, or like 3 stories tall, and they're like almost at the top of the stern wreckage, which definitely is not the case, because there should have been like, you know, decks upon decks upon decks of you know, above it there, but it's everything's sandwiched down. The stern, like the tail of the stern, is probably like the only really recognizable portion of the ship that's left there. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. And I've been wanting, like I said, I've been wanting this book for quite a while. I wish I had known about this one when I was a kid, because this absolutely would have been on a wish list of stuff when I was like going for like Christmas, you know, presents, stuff like that. All right, so those are. We'll just kind of set these down over here for now. Alright, so up next are a couple of things that I had actually received shortly before the missus went away. I just didn't get a chance to film them on video. But they are just some things that kind of caught my interest, and one of them was just like on a really good sale. But the first one here, I've seen this a couple of times, just kind of scrolling through other stuff on like 401's store, online store and everything. And just give me 1 second here. And anyway, but I've been really interested in this sort of since I first saw it. So I finally decided just to pull the trigger on it. And this is the Warhammer 40k role-playing, the Wrath and Glory starter set. So again, this would go with the starter set Saturdays. I'm looking to get a little bit into Warhammer. I picked up a couple of starter sets from 10th edition. I would love to have gotten the Armageddon box, but I'm not spending $300 Canadian for it. But if they do other starter sets that will have like Orcs and Gretchen and the Space Marines, the Blood Angels in there, then I will definitely be picking that up. I'm not concerned about like not having like characters and stuff like that. I just want to have like fun skirmish games at the table type of thing. But anyway, but this looked really interesting, so I decided to kind of go with that. Alright, so we had that, and then the other thing here, I saw this on WizKid's website, and it was like 70% off, so it was a pretty affordable price, and something that I kind of had my eye on for a little bit. It's still in its plastic and everything, but we'll take a look at it at some point in the near future. But this is the Into the Unknown Star Trek like miniatures game, and it's kind of like, you know, they had like an X-Wing style game, or TAC Wing, I think it was called, for Star Trek and stuff like that in the past. But it's sort of like their new updated one, and the ships just look absolutely amazing. The main reason that I wanted it was for the Enterprise, because this is a Galaxy-class ship, but it is the Enterprise D, and you can separate the saucer. Like, the saucer is separate from the drive section there. So I thought that was really cool, and I think it's a pretty decent game as well. I know there's some like a Klingon expansion and stuff coming out for it here. You can start to see the Enterprise. It's got the Defiant as well, and a Constellation class ship in there, and then with like the Jem'Hadar battleship, and then a couple of like just their fighters. So really cool stuff. But yeah, 70% off. That price I'm willing to pay. All right, so up next we've got some stuff that I got from DM's Guild, or Drive-Thru RPG, through their print-on-demand service. So the first things here are modules that I've wanted for a little while, and that is D1 and D2, Descent into the Depths of the Earth, and then we've got D3, The Vault of the Drow. So last year, the year before, I picked up the second edition Against the Giants book, and I've had the Queen of the Demon Web Pits for a while now, so I just kind of wanted to have that full story. So I had some credit built up, and again, I've ordered these sort of at different times, but they all arrived like within a few days of each other, even though like one of them was almost a month prior to the other one. So some things took forever to print, and then some things, you know, printed pretty quickly. So I decided to pick those up, and then along with those, I ended up getting the print-on-demand. This soft cover was the only version that was available, but it's the print-on-demand version of the 2013 reprint of the second edition AD&D Monstrous Manual. Now, technically, I do not need this book, but I had, like I said, I had a decent amount of credit left built up on the account. I think I only ended up paying like $10-15 for everything, and then the shipping on top of it, which kind of hurt. But anyway, it's one of those things that, like, back in 2013, I ended up getting the reprints of the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide. And the reason that I did that is because my Player's Handbook was in pretty rough shape. I was looking to start a second edition game, but my Player's Handbook was in rough shape, and the only DMG I had was the original second edition printing, which was like the different style of book altogether. So I kind of wanted to have the DMG from the same line as like the Player's Handbook that I had, and I just never owned one of the black covered DMGs at the time. So I got those two books, like, well, I don't need the Monstrous Manual because I already have that, and I have the binder, so like I really don't need that again. But it's one of those things that it kind of started to eat away at me over the years. Like, I would look on the shelf and I'd see the 2 green books, and I know there was the third one, and I just didn't have it. So finally I just decided, you know what, the heck with it, and we're going to go ahead and get it print on demand there. So that's exactly what we did. Now, speaking of print on demand, I'm going to move some things around here so I can actually gain access to this. Hopefully without hitting too much, disrupting too much stuff here. We'll get to those other things here in a moment. But I am looking to wrap up my 3rd edition D&D campaign. Gave a friend of mine, I gave him my original 2003 3.5 Player's Handbook. Because a few years prior to that, I had sold my one of those other 2003 Player's Handbook along with the DMG to a friend of mine when I was living in the city, and I still had that one left. And years before that, I had given away my Monster Manual to a different friend. So all I had left was the Player's Handbook, and I decided, it's like, I don't really want to have just that sitting around, because the more I look at that and the more I see that original 3.5 spine sitting on the shelf staring at me, knowing that there's 2 other books that are missing from that same line, it's going to start to eat at me. And I did find myself looking online, seeing if I could find some cheap copies of the DMG and the Monster Manual, and I just couldn't. So I gave away that Player's Handbook to kind of delete that temptation. But I do have the 2012 reprints. The thing is, like, those are pretty high quality books, and every single time you take a book off your shelf and put it back on, like, you're risking damage. If a little speck of dust, for example, is on, like, the back cover, it could scratch the back cover of that book as well as the front cover of the book that's, behind it. So, and knowing that there's still some 3.5 stuff that we're going to be doing, I decided to pick up the print-on-demand softcover versions of the Player's Handbook, the DMG, and the Monster Manual. So this is when I'm running my Savage Tide game, which we are pretty close to the end of, but it's one of those things, like, I would say that I'm never going to run 3.5 after Savage Tide, but, like, I learned to never say never, because I've said that so many times and then, caved. The desire to not run 3.5 again, like, took a while for it to, like, kind of bleed out of my system to the point where it's like, I kind of want to do this now, but, it's still going to be there. I have a friend who, like, he runs games, and 3.5 is the version of the game that he runs. So, like, these books are still going to be something that I can get some use out of. But I'm, more inclined to use these when I'm running games because, again, I don't have to risk damage to my expensive and much more difficult to replace versions of those books. With this one here, with, like, these print-on-demand ones. And I never lay my books completely flat anyway. Like, I'm always supporting the book by the spine. So, like, I'm always holding the book, and, like, my thumb comes out when I'm looking through. So I'm always supporting the spine. The spine's never going to crack on this. So I'm not really worried about anything with the binding. But it gives me a little bit of peace of mind, again, to know that, like, I'm not risking damaging books that are going to be very, very difficult to replace. And I don't want to have, like, scratches and stuff on those, like, special edition covers, because they look nice. Like, they have, like, a glossy, kind of metallic almost look to them, and I don't really want to compromise that. So there you go. All right, up next, to kind of get these out of the way, because I have to keep moving them around, we are about a week away from King Con here in the Annapolis Valley. And I'm going to be running games there again this year. Last year I ran a D&D 5th edition game as well as a Pathfinder 2nd edition game. And I'm going to be running games there again this year. And I had a lot more fun running the Pathfinder game. Like, I enjoy teaching new games to people. And I had a blast, like, teaching Pathfinder 2nd edition. So I decided to go with like things kind of along those lines. Like, there's plenty of people running like D&D. There's actually somebody who's running like the Star Wars, like starter sets, like the Age of Rebellion and stuff like that. So, there's plenty of variety of things being run there. But I decided to go with the two games I'm going to be running are the Saturday game, which is going to be Starfinder 2nd Edition, and then on Sunday I'm going to be running the Alien Evolved Edition. Now, when I run games at a convention, especially, considering that I'm not running, like, even when I ran D&D, I still had, like, D&D things to give away to the players, so that, like, a couple of them are just bundles of character sheets, but I did have 2 starter sets and a hardcover, or a player's handbook, to give away. So, I kind of enjoy that, like, because I like, I just like to kind of spread the joy. I don't know what the right term for that really is, but anyway, but when I was running like Pathfinder, like, I knew that the players probably weren't going to be familiar with it or as familiar, so I wanted to make sure everybody had the ability to reference their own abilities and stuff like that. And so I bought books for everybody, and for every person that would have been at the table, and at the end of the day they got to keep those books, and that tradition is going to stay alive because, like I said, I'm running Starfinder on Saturday. And I've got the Starfinder Player Core Pocket Edition here, and I've got the table is 2 to 4 players. Both groups or both games are actually signed or like fully or are filled, I guess I should say. Interestingly enough, they're both filled by the same group of 4 people. So these 4 guys are gonna do pretty well for themselves coming out of the convention. They're definitely going to get their money's worth, and then some, probably like several times their money's worth for their weekend pass. But we got the Player Core Pocket Edition here, and like I said, there's like up to 4 players at the table. There are going to be 4 players at the table, so there are 4 copies of that book there. So that'll be great. Everybody that sits at the table is going to have their own Player Core book they'll be able to take home with them. I am looking to go to EB Games here, hopefully sometime very, very soon, because it has to be soon. And hopefully they'll have some sets of dice. I just want to pick up some cheap sets of dice. And the idea is that, they get to take the dice and the book home with them at the end of the day, along with like the character sheet and whatever. So that's part of like the plan, to do like giveaways for the games that I run at conventions. And for the Alien game, I'm not only going to be running the starter set, but I'm also going to be giving away copies of the starter set. So I have 1 more that is in transit as we speak. I ordered 2 from Free League, although there was an issue with the way that the address was formatted, where there were certain lines in the address field that didn't apply, and the app that I used to check out or complete the sale filled those in as null, or like, so there was something in there, although it didn't match like an active address. So I went to their customer support. They were really great. Like, Free League's customer support's always been really fantastic. And they put through the order, but they mistakenly put it through for 1 copy, and it's like, I really hate to bug you, and because I really appreciate everything that you've done. But the order did have 2, so they shipped them both. The other one should arrive tomorrow or Friday. But yeah, so everybody that comes to that table is also going to, at the end of it, be able to walk away with their own copy of the Alien Evolved Edition starter set. So I just have 1 more on the way, and that'll be for the 4 players that sit at that table. And I had 2 more from the Kickstarter already that like I got last year, or 2 extras. So the 2 from that and the 2 from Free League, well, that'll equal 4, 2 to 4 players at the table. Type of thing. So there we go. So those are for the King Con, and I don't have to worry about any extras. I'll have plenty of dice for them to use while they're playing the game, and because it's the starter set, it will also come with both sets of the base dice and the stress dice. So I don't have to worry about anything there. Let's get these out of the way. Oh. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot to pause the recording while I was struggling to put those away and not have to get ahead of the chair. All right, so the next couple of things here are some things that I've ordered from for D&D, as well as from Paizo. So, you know, I get like the Paizo subscriptions. They switched to their like new store a while ago. So I went from the complimentary subscriptions to like paying for the stuff, and I was actually on the cusp of cutting a bunch of those subscriptions and just kind of like, if there's something that interests me, I'll get it when, you know, I can add it. I can always add it to an order. But recently, with the news about like the Diamond situation and how like millions of dollars of inventory that doesn't belong to Diamond because they hadn't sold it, you know, it belongs to Paizo, even though like the bank has claimed it as like their own assets, and it's nasty business. And you know, all I will say is F Diamond, F, you know, JP Morgan Chase or whatever. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with like that type of banking system here in Canada. But anyway, it's just really bad stuff. And like, no, Paizo's not going bankrupt. I keep seeing like people message me about that or wondering about it. They're not going bankrupt. Diamond went bankrupt, but you know, they took a huge hit in the meantime, so they've had to lay off some employees, which they, you know, they went through the union and everything, and they're trying to do everything on the up and up, and they do have like recall rights and everything. So if like the stuff gets straightened out and they're able to bring them back on, then they can bring them back on, type of situation. But it's just a bad thing all around. So I decided that I'm going to keep with the subscriptions for now and do what I can to support Paizo, because I think they're a great company. But yeah, so what we have here is the most recent order from them. And so what we have here is for Pathfinder, a little bit of sticky gunk there from from something. Anyway, we'll deal with that. But for Pathfinder, we have the Lost Omens High Seas. So Lost Omens, again, are like their world-building book. I haven't even looked at this yet. I got it yesterday. Or the day before. Well, it might have been the day before. I've just been really busy with other stuff. But yeah, really cool stuff. Shipping routes, like pirate stuff. Different locations. So this looks like it's going to be a really interesting book. And interestingly enough, at the same time, they also released the flip mat for the Fleet flagship. So this is one ship, but like the different levels of it, I guess. So this is going deeper and deeper. Like this is the main deck there, and it's going sort of deeper into the ship. And then you've got like the forecastle, and yes, the poop deck, the crow's nest, and then, you know, like the other level there. So really cool stuff. I love these flip mats. This would have been really useful during my Savage Tides campaign. Although the boats, the nautical stuff is pretty much over at this point. Then, for Starfinder, we've got the iconic starship Nova Rush, which must have been from one of the adventure paths. I don't know which one the Nova Rush was from, and it might even have like been a standalone adventure. I'm not sure. I know the Sunrise Maiden, but there's maps for that already. But anyway, yeah, the Nova Rush, and so you got like the different, I guess, levels of the ship on the two different sides there. And we got the pocket edition of the Galactic Ancestries book. So, like I said, I do love my pocket editions. They are what I use when I'm running games at my table because they take up far less space. Yeah, so they're really happy to have that. That I think brings everything up to. I think I have them all now up to date when it comes to the pocket edition. So, again, really happy to have those. And then for the D&D 5th edition, I ordered these from 401 Games, and because I do enjoy that store quite a bit. They are based in Toronto, but there's not a lot for like stores in my immediate area. There's one that I will never go to for various reasons, and the other one's hard to get to, and they don't have like an online store as far as I know. So But 401 Games, every time I go to Toronto, I stop in there quite a bit. And like the hotel that I stay in is right near, like I just go out the hotel, down the street, and then like cross the street like an L shape, and I'm at 401. So the first thing we got here is the Ravenloft, The Horrors Within. So this is the brand new gameplay expansion book. And there's certain things I like about like the presentation of the new 5e books here. So you've got like on the back, you have sort of the color gradient shifting, like the red color, which looks like the way that a lot of like the AD&D modules from back in the day also would have looked. Like they would have had the like the dark, I think, to light, or I can't remember if it was light to dark or dark to light. I think it was dark to light from the top of the cover sort of going down. So they kind of have that here as well. And so this is another Ravenloft supplement with some new different areas to explore, different demi-planes, including Innsmouth. And I do have the Cthulhu Mini from WizKids. I do have that pre-ordered, and I'm hoping to get that like sometime soon, because I think that's going to be an awesome-looking mini. And the price wasn't actually that bad. I was surprised by how reasonable they were, like the reasonable amount they were charging for it, versus other minis that are kind of similar size that I always found that they like doubled or maybe even tripled what they probably should be selling it for. But anyway, I am looking forward to sort of diving into this one here and taking a look and seeing kind of what we have. But yeah, we'll just, again, I do enjoy like Ravenloft and different levels there. I don't know if Barovia would be once again in this book, would it? Oh yeah, Barovia. And I think they have like the different lords as well for each of the domains. It would be kind of cool if they would have had, well, there's Lord Soth, so that's cool to see. But like this is sort of like after, I guess, Vecna's already left to become a god type of thing. But anyway, we got the book here. With some of the books, I did get the exclusive cover as well, but I wasn't really digging the exclusive cover for like the Ravenloft stuff. Same thing with the Forge of the Artificer, I think it was called. Yeah, Forge the Artificer. I just got the regular edition version of that book, but the Forgotten Realms ones, I did get both variants of it. But anyway, so happy to have the book here, and along with the book, we've got the Dungeon Master screen. So I'll be doing a video on that in the future, as well as the map pack, and these are all done in like the card stock packaging. So I do have to pull the old ripcord there, which tears out a piece of my soul each time that I do it, but it is what it is. But yeah, having like the map pack here, and it also comes with creature tokens, which is really cool. This is something that I wish they would have been doing like for a while now, but with their last two starter sets, they started actually having like these monster tokens, and I think they're great, because it's just something that you can use, you know, right out of the packaging to do like the scenarios and stuff with. I think that's absolutely awesome. So it's cool to see that included in here as well. And then, of course, I also got the Taroka deck. I do have the original one from the 5th edition release, but this one, you know, there's different art, and the art has like color on the cards and stuff. The black and white cards are neat, but it'd be kind of nice to see like a little bit of a splash of color there. So, especially like when you're doing like the fortune telling thing, I think just having like the colors just looks more interesting than like seeing the black and white cards go down. But yeah, really cool stuff to have those. And that is it for purchases, or like recent purchases. However, I did get the rewards for a Kickstarter that I backed way back last year, and they finally arrived. And so we'll go through and show what we got. So the first thing here was actually an add-on to my pledge. It's something that I tried to order last year or the year before. Might be the year before, because the passage of time is starting to become like just a muddled mess for me. So I don't know if it's 2024 or 2025. But I tried ordering it. It was unfortunately out of stock at the time, and when I contacted the customer service, they just said, yeah, we're out of stock on it, and we don't have a timetable for a reprint currently. You know, it could be done next week, it could be done next year, right? You know, it could be a while. So I just got them to do a refund, but it was an add-on option for the Kickstarter, so I picked up the Forbidden Lands. Admittedly, this box is a little bit smaller than I thought it would be, But this comes with, like, this is the complete RPG. This isn't a starter set, but it comes with a like the books in here are hardcover. So you got like the player's manual and the game master's guide. The Legends and Adventures might not be hardcover, but you got like the main core books are hardcover. It comes with like a map, comes with like stickers and tokens, stuff like that. So basically, I think it's kind of like a Hexploration style RPG, like I don't know if it's like post-apocalyptic exactly, but it's one of those things where you're not really heroes, you're just kind of like survivors and trying to find areas where you can, like, there's resources that you can use and things along those lines. So it seems kind of like an interesting concept. Sandbox survival role-playing game. You're not heroes sent on missions dictated by others. Instead, you're raiders and rogues bent on making your own mark on the cursed world. Okay. You'll discover lost tombs, fight terrible monsters, wander the wild lands, and if you live long enough, build your own stronghold to defend. I was about to say, defend the contents of the box set, but that's probably not right. But yeah, so this is really cool to have. Like, I'm really happy to finally have this in my collection. And so the Kickstarter in question was Dragonbane. So they had for 2 new Dragonbane books, and they had various levels of, that you could do for pledges. And the one that I did pledge to, one of the things that they had included in it was a copy of the Dragonbane core game. So this is the box set, which I do have 2 copies of already. One's opened and one is sealed. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this one yet, but like I said, it was part of the pledge level that I wanted to support at that point in time. So, it is what it is. But this is a fantastic box set. Like, there's some great stuff in here. So happy to have that. And I got the special edition versions of some of the books, including the hardcover rulebook. And I don't know if these are exclusive to the Kickstarter or not, as far as like the special edition covers are concerned. I don't think that they are, but we'll see. But again, just it seemed like kind of cool, like the faux leather, style of cover there with the gold leaf, with the dragon and the hero there. Really, really cool stuff for the wyvern, I guess, whatever creature it is. It just looked really, really cool, so I decided to get, I think this was an add-on as well. And then we got the Book of Magic, which is one of the Kickstarter books, along with Arkened, the City of Waves and Flames. So these 2 books were the actual Kickstarter. And again, I can't remember, I think these all 3 I might have added on after the fact. I went a little nuts with my support of Dragonbane and Alien because I love both of those games. So, I just, like I said, I probably went a little overboard, but, it is what it is. But yeah, this is really cool again to have. You got like the cover art kind of depicted here in the gold leaf and some like phrasing on the back there. Just looks really, really nice, and it's kind of cool to have these. I don't know if I'm going to break these out of the plastic or not at this point in time. I might not, because I've got the regular versions of the books as well, which we're going to see here in a moment. But again, if they are exclusive to the Kickstarter, I probably won't break them out of the seal, in case, like, years down the road I end up having to sell them or something like that. Then if they're sealed, they should still be, worth a bit more. And no, I'm not talking about like hoarding, reselling, or stuff like that. Like, if I buy a book and then I turn around and sell it to a friend of mine, I will sell it for no more than half of what I paid for it, because it's used, and I don't think that you should pay above retail price for a used product. But anyway, especially don't even get me started on like the Pokemon games, like mass produced in the millions, and the prices that they charge for those is just absolutely insane. But anyway, along with the books here, there's some other things that we got in the Kickstarter. Hold off on that for a second. Well, the first one here is the art print. So you got to choose between the art print for the City of Waves and Flames, the Arken book, the setting book, or the Book of Magic. And at the time, I wasn't quite... I don't know why I didn't go with the Book of Magic one. I think ultimately that's the one I probably should have chosen. This is fantastic artwork as well. I do really enjoy it. I think I just like the city in the background there, and like the blue of the ocean and everything. You got like that's definitely a Mallard character on there. So I just thought that was kind of neat. But you got to choose between one of the two when you get them for free. You could have added like the other one on as a paid one, but I didn't do that. And again, I don't think they're producing these outside of the Kickstarter fulfillments. So I think those were made maybe to order, or at least a situation where I don't know if they're going to go in their regular store or not. But the other really cool thing was this cloth map. And again, I'm not going to take it out right now, but it is massive. Like, look how many folds are there. And this is like a large, you know, almost full-size sheet of paper, like almost 8.5 by 11 as it is. And it's going to fold out like several times that. So again, I'll probably keep this in the packaging because I just have no room to put it up. Like the walls in here, the ones that I probably could have put it up on are covered with other things that I'd rather have on there. And the other walls don't actually have like blank space to put things on. So anyway, it's really cool looking though, and yeah, just way bigger. This map is going to be way bigger than I thought it was. They might have given the dimensions on the website, but if they did, I completely missed it. All right, and then we've got the Kickstarter books themselves. Again, we've got the Arkan City of Waves and Flames. This one is sealed in cellophane, but yes, we will be opening that one up. And then we have the Book of the Dead here. And again, I don't know why I didn't get the art print for this one. I don't know why. This is the one I really would have chosen. I don't know if it's because of like how the thumbnail size of the art didn't make it look as good. I have no idea. But I prefer this cover to this cover, so I definitely chose wrong for the art print. But I mean, both are fantastic. Like, both are really beautifully done. And I think the Arkan name was the one that was attached to the Kickstarter, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so we got the two different books here. So this, again, is a setting with a campaign or adventures and stuff sort of woven into it. And then the Book of Magic just has more spells and more schools of magic that you can access, and more which were like unlocked as the Kickstarter went on. Like the alchemy one, I think, was one of the last stretch goals that they had, and they managed to get everything, which is really cool. Information on enchanting, which is great to have. So yeah, really fantastic books there. And then we've got the Friends and Foes standees, and again, I think this was a stretch goal. I don't think this was a separate add-on purchase. I think this was a stretch goal for like certain pledge levels or above. So it's got like 3 sheets of tokens, and it's got like a double-sided map there. Or at least, I shouldn't say double-sided. It has a map. I don't know, like, because I think one of them might, the one in the, I can't remember if the one that came with the bestiary standees was double-sided or not, or if it was single-sided. But yeah, so really cool stuff. So it's got 79 beautifully illustrated cardboard standees, the bases of which are sold separately, also included in the Dragonbane core set. So yeah, really cool stuff. All right, and then lastly here, I guess, well, I shouldn't say last. There are a couple of other things. So one of the things here, one of the stretch goals was a miniature to go along with the Arkan book. And this is Master Achilles. So this is a miniature, but again, it's sealed in cellophane. So I don't know if I'm going to actually open it here or not. I'm not going to do it for the purpose of this video. If I do open it and take it out of the packaging or out of the plastic, then I'll do that in a separate video. But yeah, this was a miniature. There was also a Kickstarter for other miniatures that was around the same time. I think it launched like shortly after this campaign closed, or like maybe even shortly before it closed. I supported both. Like out the wazoo. So we look forward to getting like those other minis when the time comes. And the other thing is, this is going to be like for my in-person gaming group. We were doing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which transitioned into Starfinder. But the Starfinder stuff, like it's a great system, but like with a lot of some of these level-based systems there at higher levels, it kind of gets to be a bit much. So, you know, there's a lot of abilities that you get, which is great. Like, you get to customize, and you get to choose, like, different feats and different abilities. But some of them start to get, like, really circumstantial to the point where you might forget that you have these abilities until a situation comes up where you could have used it, but it's too late now, type of thing. So we decided to take a little bit of a break from the Starfinder game. You know, I ran Alien for them, and I started a Dragon Age game, which was only going to be like a one shot or like a couple of small scenarios back to back. But now it's going to become like an actual campaign. But when that's over, the next game that I want to run is Dragonbane, and I want to make sure that everybody at the table has access to the rules. So the last thing that I did for the add-ons was that I added on the core rulebook here. And again, I want one for everybody at the table. Getting them through the Kickstarter, I was able to get them at a discounted price. So we've got the core rulebook, the core rulebook, the core rulebook, and the core rulebook. So 4 players at my table, 4 copies of the core book here. So everybody will get to go home with the Dragonbane game, with the Dragonbane core rulebook there. And the last thing that I got myself was just a set of the official dice there. Again, I probably will keep this just like as a collectible because I do have the green dice from the box set. But it's still kind of cool nonetheless. Again, I love the Dragonbane artwork and everything. So yeah, we've got that to go along with it as well. So there we go. That is the recent pickups for my various collections, including, like I said, this Kickstarter, which was a lot of stuff. Like the Kickstarter was a ton of things to add, you know, to the collection. But I'm happy to finally have them. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what are some of the cool things that you've added to your collections. It doesn't have to be RPGs. It could be like novels. It could be, you know, like CDs or records. You know, video games, doesn't matter. What are some of the cool things that you've added to your collection over the last little while? Thank you all so very much for your time. I truly appreciate it, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, take care.